Walt Disney,
Yes.
beloved figure of our pop culture.
That's how they get you. Yada, yada, yada. She eventually causes her own husband to be burned to death.
And that makes me so happy on cold nights. It especially ended badly for the idiot Peckerwoods.
Have a bottle of scotch. Okay, that's twice that he's mentioned redheads. It is un-American to get in the way of our freedom to restrict people's freedoms. That was the point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know plenty about these things.
But
I love me some Bobby Drake. Yeah, well, if that's all we've got, then we're
darts.
being really lazy.
yeah. Y'all bone.
You can literally poke a hole in it as soon as someone gets pneumonia. Well, I'm not as old as you.
Well, haha, motherfucker, I got a wizard.
Geek History of Time,
where we connect nerdery to the real world. My name is Ed Blaylock. I'm a world history teacher with a side order of remedial reading at the middle grade level here in Northern California. And I just recently started rereading The Fellowship of the Ring to my remedial reading kids, since we're in distance learning. And our schedule is borked. One day a week, everything is cut in half. So following the normal canned curriculum that we have doesn't work. So I'm using part of that time on that shortened day to just read aloud to them and have them listen to me as I'm reading. And I didn't want to do J.K. Rowling because I didn't want to do Harry Potter because J.K. Rowling has recently, doubled and tripled and sextupled down on being a crappy human being. So I went with somebody whose prejudices are more background latent rather than, out there open in the public sphere, and I'm doing Tolkien instead. So I had forgotten just how kind of puckish his sense of humor is in the beginning when he's describing hobbits. There's kind of a little bit of there is a distinct level of kind of loving fun making.
Yes.
In the way that he describes them, and I had
almost
forgotten
Manipian.
that. Almost, yeah. And it's yeah. So I'm having a great time doing that. How about you?
Well, before I introduce myself, I got to say that I think we found the most perfect version of distance learning for you, the bard, is to read Tolkien aloud to children. I think that's...
Yeah, probably. You're not wrong.
So, but I am Damian Harmony. I am a Latin teacher up here in Northern California at a distance. And we are the there's no like reading out loud that's happening in English on my end, but there is a good deal of video content that I've put out there for the students to hear me reading Latin aloud to them for very much the same kind of reason that you're reading to these kids, is that the more words you hear, the more easy it will be to uptake those words when you read them.
It's a fluency thing.
Mm-hmm. So
on multiple levels. So
it's nice to see both of us are essentially doing the same thing. To roughly the same level of reading, unfortunately. So,
sadly.
Yeah. But, there's no time like the present to do it. And good on you for finding a way to continue that for them. So,
yeah, I also had the opportunity. I'm being very, very positive minded when I say that, to actually come up with my own exercise for supplemental coaching for these kids in the understanding of open vowels.
Oh, good.
And finding where the syllable break is in a word.
Sure.
Which, ties into a conversation we actually had ourselves online the other day.
Mm-hmm.
Just to let everybody else know.
Yeah.
We came to the conclusion that the word fuck knuckle
yes.
in written form is only going to have one K.
Yeah.
Which when I first saw it written in that conversation, I was like, I don't know, that I feel like there ought to be a second K. And then I did out with a second K, and I went, no,
It's
no, there
wrong
really
with the
shouldn't
second
be.
K.
It's really
Yeah.
quite remarkable. Yeah, no, it looks bad. So, yeah, and that's again another that ties in. Although, of course, I didn't use that example with my seventh and eighth grade
We'll give it to him next
English
week.
class. I mean, I kind of wish. Yeah, well, when they get to high school, if they're still working on this stuff,
Yeah.
but yeah, but telling them, okay, there's two consonants in the middle of the word. The break is going to be between the two consonants. If there's only one consonant right before that consonant,
Right.
so yeah, and so then coaching them through that,
Mm-hmm.
uh, it actually I had one of those moments of whatever the opposite of imposter syndrome is, where you walk away going, I am a real boy.
Oh, I think it's just called feeling competent at the thing that you're good at.
Okay, yeah, that
Yeah.
works.
There's no word for
So
it
yeah.
because it's not pathologized. It's just exceedingly rare.
Oh yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
So
Good
yeah.
for you. That's great.
Yeah.
And yes,
No,
I do think that fuck knuckle is a worthy discussion point for when I teach my students scansion. So I'm going to keep that one in my back pocket.
no, I think it's a great example, and based on what I know of Latin poetry and satire, I think you could probably get away with it.
Oh, easily, easily. Also, there's no K in Latin, so that makes it really easy. Like they're just
That's a good point.
yeah.
Yeah, true.
So, but actually, there was a word that I saw recently, and it said all the K's were silent, and I can't remember what the word was. It might be Knickerbocker. Yeah, Knickerbocker. All the K's are silent.
Okay, you can't see me right now because we're
No.
doing this, via an audio Skype call. But oh my God, you just blew my mind.
Yeah, kind of fun.
Because wow, that's not wrong.
Uh-huh. Yeah. So,
All right.
hey, how about this? Why don't you read to them the next thing after Tolkien is give them a break in the Tolkien and read them the Dark Knight Returns.
Really good way to segue into what we're talking about
Thank you. What a
tonight.
coincidence.
But yeah, what a coincidence. I don't think it's very good advice for the sake of my credential.
Oh, you got permanence.
Just yeah, but I don't want to get that particular letter in my file. So yeah, as Damian so very very subtly points out, when we left off, we had gotten through the history of the comics,
right?
Basically up through the 1970s. And to kind of recap a little bit without going into too much detail, of course, everything after 66 in some way is a response to the TV series.
Which
in 66.
By the way, I broke down and bought. And it got delivered, and my kids and I have watched 4 episodes, and my son is quoting the Penguin perpetually about my
awesome.
fine feathered fiends, and my daughter is watching the whole thing with us, and she just keeps looking at me. She's like, "This is so bad, but it's so good."
Okay,
and
right. So have you had the conversation with her yet about what camp means?
I have not broken it down entirely, but yeah, I've touched on it, and kind of a fun thing too was that I taught her about how the tilted screen means bad guys, but then I pointed out Burgess Meredith. I said, "Hey, do you remember that episode of Twilight Zone I let you guys watch?" And she's like, "Oh yeah, where he's left alone." I'm like, "That's the guy." Yeah, blew her mind. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I mean, with the nose and the get up and the whole makeup and everything, it totally would. I remember the first Burgess Meredith as not the Penguin. It blew my mind.
Yeah.
Because for me the exposure happened in exactly the opposite order.
Sure. You got Rocky first.
Because again, as a youngster, good, funny. No. Rocky was a whole lot later, but I got the '66 Batman series first, And then, seeing Burgess Meredith not being a cartoonish bad guy was, yeah, kind of a mind blowing experience. I was like, wait, hold on.
Right.
Because by that time I was old enough to realize, wait, that's the same dude,
Oh,
like without
sure.
anybody pointing it out. And I was like, oh, wow. Like, whoa. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So they're all responding to the 66 version.
so everybody's, yeah, after the TV series
Mm-hmm.
in one way or another, either they're hewing to the TV series and they're going, bright colors, campy, kind of over the top, which is what the comic did for 2 or 3 years, or like the comic did in the very early 70s, they are running away from the TV series, and trying to say no, we're going, this is serious business, capital S capital B.
Mm-hmm.
And in the 70s, we see the introduction of Ra's al Ghul, and the League of Shadows, and Talia al Ghul, and all of those kind of elements. And the comic went took a very hard turn back toward being a detective comic,
Mm-hmm.
um, while at the same time within the greater DC continuity. Of course, by that time Batman had for a long time been a member of the JLA, and he's wrapped up in, as a supporting player in other storylines where, the threats are global and it's not just Gotham. And so there's this weird kind of dichotomy going on.
Right.
Um, and then, um,
Do you think?
and then, in,
Do you
oh,
think,
go
by the
ahead.
way, that edging back toward the what's it called? The Detective Comics. Do you think edging back
Yeah.
toward that was partly in response to a loosening of the restrictions of the CCA? Because by the 80s, you do see that the CCA has relaxed a bit.
Well, number one, the CCA has relaxed a bit, and more people are looking at it going, you know what? The hell with the CCA. I'm not going to worry about that.
No, but
I mean,
every comic was still aiming for getting that stamp on there, except for the episode where they dealt with heroin in Spider-Man, and
yeah,
they're like, "Well, just fucking do it without the CCA stamp," and nothing happened. But everybody kept sticking to the CCA stamp.
yeah, yeah. I'm jumping ahead a little bit
Oh,
when I
sorry.
say what I said, but no, you're right. There was relaxation of the CCA's guidelines. They were no longer being quite as heavy handed. Um, but yeah, I think the two things are intertwined for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Um, just because I think a big part of it too was, I mean, we've spoken at length about just what a shit decade the 70s were.
Yes.
And so you see this universal darkening, grimming kind of influence on everywhere in popular culture.
Mm-hmm.
And there had been, I mean, like in the 60s, there had been the beginnings of the movement toward anti-hero kind of stuff. And I think in the 70s you really saw that get leaned into a lot in popular culture. And so I think it's kind of the same thing. I mean, of course, Batman's not becoming an anti-hero, but that same tonal kind of shift
Mm-hmm.
happened, and the idea of no, this is serious business, became a thing. And so through the 70s, we still see Batman in the blue and gray kind of uniform with the yellow
Yeah, the yellow chest plate.
lozenge
Yeah.
around that, and, and that doesn't wind up changing, even though the tone of the comics winds up becoming, I'm not going to say grim necessarily, but it does become more serious. He's in Detective Comics in particular. He is a he is a detective, and,
Mm-hmm.
and there's an emphasis on that, and the conflict between him and Ra's al Ghul has global stakes, but it is a mental contest.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't wind up being something that Batman can solve with his fists and his martial arts skills,
Oh.
though those are necessary for the course of it. It's a whole, the whole con one where, Ra's al Ghul looks at him and says, "No, you're a worthy adversary, and I actually want to try to make you into my heir." And Batman kind of has to go along with it in order to get into the organization to then take the organization down.
Okay.
And so there are parallels to, undercover cop stories.
Yeah, I was gonna say that
You
sounds
know,
very much like Miami Vice style type stuff.
yeah, and it's a little bit funny. I mean, it's very Three Color Comics because he winds up, kind of acquiescing to what Al Ghul is saying, but somehow Ra's al Ghul, knows a whole lot about the Batman.
Mm-hmm.
But at the beginning of the storyline, when Ra's al Ghul is introduced, he doesn't know his secret identity. And so when Batman joins the organization, there's a whole lot of scenes in these series of comics where Batman is having to do one thing or another as an initiation or whatever, and he has his shirt off, but he's still wearing his costume tights. But he's got no shirt on, but he still has, from the neck up, he's still got on the cowl. And so, and the thing is, the writing was actually strong enough that you were able to look at those moments and go, yeah, all right, I'll allow it. Whatever, keep going.
Wow. Okay.
Um, and so yeah, it was again a very it was a big shift from the over the top cartoony campy stuff
Right. So
to a much more serious, yeah, noir, again going back to noir kind of tone and noir
mhm.
themes
is
within the storyline.
is he aged in this one? Is this the one where he's
No,
in his 50s? No. Okay.
no, no, no,
Okay.
no.
Okay.
That is actually the Dark Knight Returns, and
Oh. Okay. Okay.
that's that's the next step in the character's evolution. And the thing is,
Mm-hmm.
so everything since '66
Mm-hmm.
has been a response to the TV series, one way or the other. Everything since '86
Mm-hmm.
has been a response to Frank Miller.
Oh wow. Okay.
And that's kind of my thesis with what I'm talking about in this episode,
Uh huh.
because and everything we've been talking about in the '70s is kind of teeing me up for in '86. Miller came over to DC from Marvel,
Mm-hmm.
and Miller had first gotten noticed in the industry for working on Daredevil.
And if I
And
recall correctly, Daredevil. Again, we talked about that last time about how the names should be swapped. But if I recall
yeah,
correctly, Daredevil, like Miller, really kind of stripped things down. And but he did it in such a way that it was tasteful. So it was great taste and less filling during Miller time.
huh. Oh man. So what's the time mark on that
Oh,
one?
it's 17 minutes. I'm nowhere near.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's I ain't even mad
No,
this time.
you're
It's
welcome.
actually that you got me on that one. I like that. So yeah. No. What he became known for, because he was number one, he became known for, if he was writing a comic, he better not be drawing it, and if he was drawing it, he better not be writing it,
Oh
because
wow.
if he was doing both jobs,
Mm-hmm.
um, deadlines were gonna die ugly. But as a writer, he told these very, and this is going to be unsurprising to anybody who's seen other work of his, these very stoic, borderline toxic masculinity kind of stories, where, in the case of Daredevil, the way you got me with your pun was talking about stripping things down. He really
Right.
did want putting Daredevil through a kind of a breaking him down to his core,
Mm-hmm.
forcing him to go back and relearn everything he knew, kind of thing.
See what
And
sticks.
Yeah, see what sticks, see where where his real strength lay and all that kind of stuff.
You missed it.
Oh, Jesus.
Sorry, I know it's late, so it's probably pretty foggy for you.
Ah. See, part of the thing is I'm not a big Daredevil fan, so I'm lagging.
Okay, yeah,
I'm lagging a couple of seconds behind the references because I got to go. Oh,
yeah,
foggy. Yeah.
yep.
Ha ha ha. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Bullseye. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you think
Sorry.
you're some kind of kingpin?
These puns are electrifying. What can I say? Take a stab at them.
Oh,
Oh,
well done.
oh, thank you.
Well done. Electrifying. Okay. See that I appreciate.
And taking a stab at them because that's how Bullseye killed her.
Yeah. Oh. Ooh.
Yeah.
Too soon, dude.
You got to hand it to
Um.
Elektra. You really do.
Oh. Ouch.
I know.
Funny thing. The Foot Clan in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles
Oh, the whole Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is a knock on Daredevil. The
is
whole
yeah,
fucking
okay,
thing.
yeah,
But
okay,
yeah,
yeah, right,
but the
yeah,
Foot Clan,
yeah,
yeah, is
yeah,
totally a response to the hand.
to the hand, yeah.
Yeah. Like,
So anyway,
yeah.
yeah. So anyway, Frank Miller
Mm-hmm.
got his bones working on Daredevil by breaking all of Daredevil's in the comic, and then he came over to DC and wound up. They had a plan for what they wanted him to do, and he had an idea, and that idea was the Dark Knight Returns.
Mm-hmm.
Now the arc at the time when it was serialized in '86, it was just the Dark Knight, and the first issue was the Dark Knight Returns.
Okay.
And when the whole thing got put together in a trade paperback after the fact, it became the graphic novel that everybody knows today. They stuck with the title, The Dark Knight Returns. And so now Miller did a couple of interesting things, um, because the whole story is in a lot of ways a deconstruction. It's a simultaneous deconstruction and reconstruction
Mm-hmm.
of who and what Batman is, and like how do we look at this character. And so Miller aged him up. Miller
Okay.
said, "Okay, so he set the comic in what was then the present time. It was 1986,
Uh-huh.
and Batman was now he aged him up to be in his mid 50s, which is younger than he actually would have been. But there you go. He aged him up to be late middle aged guy, and then built a story around that kind of being the opening gambit is that Bruce Wayne um, gave up being Batman because, and this is interesting, he left the business of superheroing because Jason Todd got killed.
Wow.
Now here's the thing, of course, I know what you're thinking.
Mm-hmm.
In the actual comic continuity, Jason Todd doesn't die for another 2 years.
Right.
Spoiler alert. We're
Right.
going to get into that here in a little bit. But the idea of Jason Todd getting killed by the Joker
Mm-hmm.
is introduced kind of to the public consciousness in The Dark Knight Returns, because Robin gets killed and Batman walks away,
Right.
and so because of his departure, Gotham is turned into a crime-riddled hellhole, and a super gang calling themselves the Mutants has arisen, and they are running roughshod over the people of Gotham.
Now, I gotta say, this is 86, you said?
Yes.
Okay, so mutants were a big freaking deal from 75 through about 83, 84.
Yeah.
Like just in general, like Marvel is like carrying its own property on the back of the storylines having to do with mutants. So I find it very interesting that this is likely one of the first recent uses of that word in DC, I have no doubt that that Superman probably fought somebody who's Mutant X or whatever. But
Oh yeah, no, I'm
you
sure at
know,
some point. But
but
in the more modern era,
yeah, as a group,
yeah,
that's really interesting that they
yeah,
become the foil to the antagonist or to the protagonist, and they
yeah,
are a large group.
yeah.
Yeah.
Over the course of the three comic series, a new Robin shows up.
Mm-hmm.
Batman goes back out on the street because he sees the mutants. He realizes that the city needs me, and I gotta get off my ass, and I gotta get out there. I gotta do something about it. And a young woman, a teenage girl who he winds up rescuing from an assault, a girl named Carrie Kelly, uh, winds up seeing him, and she decides she's going to take Robin's place. And so Carrie Kelly winds up taking over as Robin
Okay.
in the Dark Knight series.
Okay.
When she shows up, she buys a costume in a costume shop and goes looking for Batman on the street.
Ah.
When she finds him, he winds up taking her. He winds up taking her back to the Batcave, and Alfred basically tells him, "I quit. You're not. You're
You're
not
not
doing this
endangering
again.
another kid.
You're not
Yeah.
endangering another kid. Not doing it." Um, and Alfred doesn't actually wind up leaving, but he does basically say this is not good. You shouldn't be doing this. And explicitly, this is one of the ways in which, and I'm going to kind of go back and forth in chronology out of the series here as stuff comes up.
Mm-hmm.
But in that role, Alfred kind of winds up taking on the role of the reader, because it's made very, very clear that this is dangerous.
Alfred has become
Uh,
our moral center.
yeah, Alfred
We're
Alfred
no
becomes
longer
becomes
identifying with Batman as the moral center. We're now seeing that Batman is breaking down and going too far.
the beginnings of it. Yeah,
Okay.
definitely. And part of what winds up happening is, and the way we see just exactly how dangerous this is Batman winds up getting very, very seriously injured in a one-on-one fight against the leader of the mutants. The,
Okay.
the mutant leader, basically, pokes and prods him
Mm-hmm.
into a one-on-one, literally calls out the old man, and Carrie Kelly winds up actually saving Batman's bacon, which is the reason he winds up taking her back to the Batcave in the first place. And so uh, so we have first off, and I want to pause here to kind of look at some of the themes we're already seeing here. You've already pointed out Alfred is taking on a moral role for the reader. We see a new Robin showing up,
Mm-hmm.
not because the kid doesn't have any other place to go,
Mm-hmm.
but because instead, she is hero worshiping him and wants to be his protege. Okay. Remember, Jason Todd was, a street kid that Batman took in because, he didn't have any place else to go. Batman, realized he needed somebody to be working with. The writers realized they still needed a Robin, and of course Nightwing had gone off and was doing his own thing. Um, and now I'm blanking on the first Robin's, actual name.
Dick Grayson.
Dick Grayson, thank you.
Yeah, he's
Dick
Nightwing,
Grayson.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Dick Grayson had started out having been orphaned by the mob
Right.
and didn't have any other place to go. Carrie Kelly has a life. She has friends, she has a social life, she has family, and she comes looking for Batman. And this is in a setting in which it is taken for granted that Batman left the streets. He left the Cape business, and in that vacuum, these hideous, hyper-violent super gangs, the mutants and their ilk,
which are
the mutants.
actually I keep fixating on them. It's kind of funny. But the Morlocks showed up in '83 in Marvel Comics.
Yeah.
So here we are 3 years later. This is right around the time that Storm ends up defeating one of the head
Oh,
Callisto
oh, oh, yeah, yeah,
for
yeah, yeah,
leadership of that clan. And then
yeah.
she loses her powers and she's got a mohawk. It's also right around the time, let's see, '86. We're talking Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome time. We're talking
Yeah.
post-apocalyptic stuff. So it's just kind of
Oh,
interesting
yeah.
what's working its way through.
Well, yeah, and this was also a period of time, back in the late '70s. Of course, New York had been, completely falling apart, and this is New York is where all of this stuff is being published.
Oh yeah, Urban
So,
Blight. Yeah,
oh yeah, urban blight was a huge big deal.
because of the
Uh,
heroin and then later
yeah,
crack epidemics. Oh shit,
yeah,
I didn't even connect it to those.
yeah,
Yeah.
and this is and well, I'm going to get into
Oh Jesus, and all the
more
Death
overtly
Wish movie
political stuff.
sequels are coming
Oh
out.
yeah,
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
and
Okay.
Dirty Harry.
That was the '70s though,
Well, yeah,
or were
but
there other sequels of that?
there were, yeah,
Okay, knockoffs.
Magnum Force.
Okay.
Oh, the Deadpool. Trying to remember what year the Deadpool was, but this was the era of public consciousness being full of everybody being terrified of urban blight, everybody being terrified of hyper violence. This is where the talk about super predators
Okay, I gotta
kind of started.
stop you there as well. We started this thing with me kind of calling out Batman for being the millionaire attacking newly white millionaires who clearly must have gotten their money through illegal means. Now
Yes.
he's coming back as an older fellow, Charles Bronson style,
Yeah.
and taking on street gangs.
Yep.
And in so doing, we, like you just said, super predators, which comes into the discussion in the early '90s. But the idea of street gangs and stuff like that is very much urban, city,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
people of color.
Yeah. Now,
So
what's interesting,
more
and what
Batman
I
beating up people of color stuff.
people. Well, here's
Sure,
the thing.
sure,
If
sure.
you actually look at the artwork in The Dark Knight,
Yeah.
there's vanishingly few people of color anywhere.
Its own problem, but yeah, you're
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
pointing
Well,
out that no, he's not attacking
yeah.
black kids, and I get
Yeah.
that, but this is so
It's
clearly coded too.
Oh yeah, well
Yeah,
yeah, no, I'm not trying to undo
yeah,
what you're saying. I am actually what I am actually pointing out is to the readership of the comic, the coding was subliminal.
mm-hmm.
Because Frank Miller, being himself a boomer, didn't consciously think of the racial coding that was baked into this, in the same way that Tolkien didn't consciously think of the racial coding that was unfortunately involved in orcs,
Right,
which was a whole other episode. It's his subconscious bias is remaining kind of sub rosa
right,
through the whole and I mean, you do see there are figures in the background. The mutants are shown to be a multi-ethnic group of scum,
mm-hmm.
but all of the face characters that we ever interact with are all bald-headed white-looking guys. And the coding of just the very idea of street gang in the '80s carried all kinds of racial overtones, but in the comic
Mm-hmm.
there was no representation, not even negative representation, which is again its own issue. So part of what I want to get to, though, in addition to the obvious issues that you're bringing up, there's this very central idea that clearly the subtext is Batman was the force that was keeping all of this from happening.
Mm-hmm.
Like having him out there was the deterrent that prevented chaos from rising up from the underworld to threaten everybody.
It's like a weird trickle down economic theory there.
Yeah, it's
If you
and
have this one
yeah,
really violent millionaire, then
you're
everything
gonna
else.
solve all yeah, everything else will fall into
Yeah.
place. Like, wait, what?
Yeah.
So, and then of course, like I said, there's all these issues of tropes kind of taken out of westerns of the old gunfighter returning and
Sure.
these stoic, I got to be the one to solve this masculinity kind of stuff.
Yep.
And you know um Harvey Dent shows up in
Mm-hmm.
the comics, known, of course, Two-Face.
Yes.
And in this story, Two-Face has undergone extensive psychiatric treatment, and he's had, I don't even know how many tens of thousands of dollars of plastic surgery to fix his face, and so uh, he's heading back out into society, and a big part of this has been paid for by Bruce Wayne.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah. He's been rehabilitated.
he's been rehabilitated, and,
Yeah.
and then this is a victory, right? And early on in the series, Batman finds out that Dent is up to something. Like some of the people who are committing some armed robberies, some crimes, he finds out these guys are somehow working for Dent, and he's not sure what's going on. But he warns Commissioner Gordon. I think there's something going on there, and so there's this, from the very opening of the comic series, there's this reintroduction of the idea, and I think this is kind of where the codification of this into current canon kind of starts, of Batman villains as the mentally ill and
Mm-hmm.
as the incorrigible mentally ill.
Right.
The they're
Irredeemable.
irredeemable, can't be cured, can't be treated, scary, crazy people. And you know, um, so Batman winds up defeating Leader of the Mutants, kind of with Gordon. Gordon kind of arranges things so that Batman gets to handle the Leader of the Mutants, because Batman figured out how to get him arrested, but Gordon kind of sets it up so Batman can have the showdown with him, and then, like, I cannot stress enough how Batman's victory over the Leader of the Mutants is a complete raffle stomp. Like
In what
Miller
way?
went out of his way. Well, he goes out of his way to show Batman not just defeating him, but breaking him humiliatingly in front of his people.
Okay. So just outclassing him at every turn.
Well, not only outclassing him at every turn, but the art of it all is, I mean, there is blood that we see
Mm-hmm.
very clearly. There's a fair amount of it, and it's not just defeating him. It is clearly, crippling kind of injuries. It's
Okay.
not merely that Batman has him outclassed every turn. It's that, no, Batman beat the shit out of him.
Okay. Gotcha.
It is the brutality of the thumping that he gives this guy is emphasized, with every stroke of the pen in the artwork.
Yeah. So it's as if like you've got a fencer from like I don't know 400 years prior. He not only snipped off your buttons without leaving a mark, but then he also beat your face until it looked like hamburger.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
both. Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It's not only did he show that he knows better, but he then, left you maimed, as a result.
Right. Okay.
And so now here's the thing,
Mm-hmm.
and this is where Miller kind of gets very Miller, or where Miller starts showing us what his stuff is going to look like in years to come, because Batman crushes the leader of the mutants, and the mutants see their leader get, just like I said, raffle stomped.
Mm-hmm.
They turn around, they walk away, because clearly the charismatic leader has been defeated, and so they don't have a movement, they don't have anything other than this one individual leading them,
Sure.
and so they turn around and they disband, and some of them rename themselves the Sons of the Batman, and they either paint or tattoo, we're never really 100% sure, Batman's logo onto their faces, and they turn around and they start attacking other criminals
We.
with the same
Oh.
level of hyper violence that they had been using against innocent people before.
Okay. Wow. That's so. It feels a little guardian angel-y.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very, very much. Yes. And so then we cut away from that to a meeting between Superman and Ronald Reagan.
Um. I'm gonna have to ask you to say that again. I think that Skype dicked out in some way or something.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
sounded like you said that Superman met with somebody who had less moral scruples than Lex Luthor.
yeah. Well, I said Ronald Reagan, and
Oh,
and
you
your
did? Okay. Yeah,
I
that
did,
was
yeah.
yeah.
And your evaluation there is, as we've discussed in prior episodes, not wrong.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Superman, we cut away to a meeting between Superman and President Ronald Reagan, because again, this was set in 1986.
Right. Oh, wow.
Okay,
Okay.
so Miller has President Reagan mention to Superman the events in Gotham,
Mm-hmm.
and Reagan says, um, you know, at some point you may need to arrest Batman, because now he's turned around and he's got these hyperviolent gang people working for him, and we might need to step in and you might need to stop him. Superman tells Reagan, I might be able to talk to Bruce Wayne. As somebody who knows Batman, I might be able to talk to him.
Sure, sure.
And then, same scene, as soon as that little snippet of conversation is done, the president then sends Superman, gives him the mission to go to the fictional Latin American country of Corto Maltese, where we see Superman fighting Soviet combat forces in a bush conflict that may start World War III.
Wow. Okay, so there's a few things going on here that show up in the movies, which this is why I
Yeah.
love comic book movies, is because if done right, you can stay faithful to the material, you can still service the fans, and still come up with a fairly original take on it.
Mm-hmm.
So the place where Superman goes to,
Yeah.
that's where Vicky Vale had just returned back from when she comes back to Gotham in the Tim Burton one.
Oh yeah.
She hands it
That's a good
to
point.
dude who played Arliss. I forget his name now.
Yeah.
But to him and Knox. Well, that's the character's name. And he's like, "Wow, a girl could get hurt doing this," but it was Corto Maltese.
Yeah.
And the hyper-violent Sons of Batman.
Yeah.
You see an echo of that in the Nolan second film, because there's a bunch of copycat Batmans who screw up his fight with and his bust of Scarecrow, and then
Yeah.
one of whom gets abducted and tortured and killed by
Yeah.
Heath Ledger's Joker.
Yeah.
So,
I ain't wearing hockey pads or hockey pants.
yeah,
That was the one. I'm not
yeah,
wearing hockey pants. Yeah,
So,
which is a
wow.
pretty shitty argument, but whatever. I mean, I understand what you're trying to get to, but like, there's a better way of saying that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. So what Miller is clearly kind of trying to say,
Mm-hmm.
and the way he's characterizing Superman, like throughout the series, is Superman is the dutiful good boy who does what authority tells him.
Yeah.
And that winds up turning him into a tool.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
we'll get into the details of exactly how that turns out here in a minute. But Superman is the establishment guy in Miller's view, which isn't entirely wrong. But Superman represents law and authority and rightful authority and whatever and truth, justice, and the American way, patriotism, and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And that means that to Miller, the logical extension of all of that means he's going to wind up being a stooge of the government. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
of the specifically the federal government. He's going to wind up being
An
kind
errand
of.
boy sent to collect a butcher's bill.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, does that make
And
Batman Kurtz? And
uh you know
Superman
oh
is Martin Sheen's character?
oh shit. Oh, wow.
Yeah. Cuz
That's a parallel
because
I
he
hadn't
even
even
says
considered, but yeah.
you just had to make friends with it. With
Yeah.
the horror and the terror, and
Yeah.
that's always
Yeah.
been the difference between Batman and Superman. Is Batman is
Yeah.
like you've got to
I
go
am
for it.
I
Yeah.
am darkness, I am the night. Yeah. Oh, shit. Okay. That's brilliant, and I hate that I didn't think of it. But yeah, so Superman goes off as the errand boy
Mm-hmm.
to go act as Dr. Manhattan uh, in this third world Bush conflict.
Mm-hmm.
And meanwhile, back in Gotham, no 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 no
No no
no
no
no no
no
no.
no 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 no
No,
no.
no, 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 no. Yeah. Batman shows back up,
Uh-huh.
and the Joker has been in a catatonic state in Arkham Asylum for some extended period of time.
Mm-hmm.
And we see the Joker in the asylum, catatonic, head to one side, staring off into the distance, drooling on his pillow. And the TV in the day room is on, and news reveals that Batman has shown up, and the Joker wakes up.
Oh.
And the Joker then, he wakes up out of his catatonic state, and then he uses his sociopathy, his ability as a psychopath,
Mm-hmm.
to manipulate the people around him into thinking he's well enough to go on a talk show, which is, I
Just
mean, how
kind of
Batman
connect.
can
Well,
how
Geraldo and
yeah.
Donahue were things.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And so he winds up murdering everybody in the audience with Joker gas,
Of course.
and escapes. And they wind up tracking him to a fair.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's having to avoid the police at this point. And they track him to a fair. He's already trying to kill people. Batman follows him into a dark ride, the Tunnel of Love.
Okay. Oh.
and
Oh.
and
Okay.
in
That's
and
okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like how
I
many
know
how
what's
many
going to
how
happen there is the opposite of love.
oh yeah. He winds up beating the Joker within an inch of his life,
Of course.
and then the Joker kills himself
Oh.
commits suicide by he breaks his own neck, which, like,
It's the ultimate "you can't fire me, I quit" move.
yeah, the ultimate "you can't fire me, I quit," but he does it specifically in order to incriminate Batman for murder.
Right.
Okay.
His final revenge.
Yeah, his final revenge is, no, you didn't kill me, but everybody will think you did. Basically. Kills himself.
Mm-hmm.
And at this point, at this point in the series, Commissioner Gordon has stepped down as commissioner. He's handed things over to an officer, Captain Ellen Yindel, who has basically said Batman's a wanted vigilante because now he's kind of the leader of a street gang without actually leading the street gang. And so, Yindel and the police show up and they see the Joker is dead. Well, obviously we know who did this. Right? And so now there's a manhunt on for him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The conflict in Corto Maltese turns into World War III.
Right.
And the Soviets launch a nuclear warhead that Superman diverts from its target. Superman is nearly killed by the nuke. And he absorbs the solar energy stored in the jungle, which, like, I don't know how the physics works, but it's comic books. It's Superman, and okay.
Yeah.
So because of the nuke going off, the United States gets hit by an EMP. And massive blackout, nationwide blackout. Don't know how, but, comic book physics.
Mm-hmm.
Massive nationwide blackout. And Batman puts two and two together, figures out why there's this massive blackout. And he goes to the leftovers of the mutants and to the sons of the Batman and turns them into a tells them, okay, no killing anybody, but there is nobody to keep order now. There's, we're in this blackout, absolute chaos. It's your job to now maintain order, and turns them into essentially an army. And they collectively, there are scenes of them, punishing looters and they somehow develop the discipline, instantaneously through Batman's magical leadership abilities. They wind up developing the discipline to be the ones to oversee the distribution of essential supplies to folks in town and all this.
All right. Now, this would have been in the minds of not necessarily children reading this, although I don't think children would have been reading this. But
this was not
right.
a kiddie book.
But this would have been in the minds of certainly New Yorkers who were adults at that time, because there was the New York blackout.
Yeah.
And you've got not the Hells Angels, the Guardian Angels.
Yeah.
Doing that thing. By the way, I want to just circle back real quick to Yindel.
Okay.
Male or female?
Female. Ellen Yindel.
Ellen Yindel. So I'm imagining it's mid 80s.
Yeah.
I'm imagining short hair, and I'm imagining angular features, and kind of like if you were to say, hey, draw a feminist to an unreconstructed male at the time, she would be it.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Okay.
You're not wrong.
Okay.
Unfortunately, we're not, we don't have a video connection right now, but yes, a remarkably short haircut. I'm going to say actually she had almost the same haircut I had in 1986.
Yeah.
As an 11-year-old boy.
She had the Zool haircut then.
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I didn't have the flat top.
Okay.
That wasn't 86.
Okay.
But yeah, she yes, very much.
Okay. Tasteful pantsuits most of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With a pretty severe. Well, I mean, Not no.
No.
Depends on whether you're talking about in the comic or in the movie adaptation, the animated adaptation of the comic.
Oh, I'm going with the comic. Comic one.
Okay,
Yeah.
in the comic, modern fashions got modified to look kind of cyberpunk inflected.
Oh, okay.
So she tended to wear a cyberpunk looking kind of trench coat with the collar up.
Oh,
And
okay.
I want to say kind of a military cut where it's very very kind of double breasted looking with the panel across the chest that
Mm-hmm.
like it opens from one side kind of thing.
Right. Right.
So yeah, but yes, very much. Like you can tell from the shape of the eyes and the full lips that this is a female character, but all of the other cues are
I'm
masculine.
picturing like Sean Young from Blade Runner, like that aesthetic.
Um, that aesthetic, but with what at the time would have been labeled as a boy's haircut.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Because Sean Young had the big, kind of 30s gothic, kind of big high,
Oh, did she? Okay.
hairdo kind
I
of thing.
fell
She,
asleep during that movie, so I don't know. Yeah.
you heathen.
I don't like noir. Like it became painfully obvious that it was a noir film because I fell asleep. Like I was like, I woke back up. I'm like, oh, this shit's boring. Still,
You
okay,
honest
okay,
fucking heretic. All right, fine, whatever.
okay. So anyway,
Um,
I'm sorry. World
so
War Three,
yeah,
EMP.
so
The Guardian
EMP
Angels are handing shit
blackout,
out.
Guardian Angels are handing yes,
Hmm.
basically. And so this winds up so Gotham becomes the safest city in the United States
But it's a
because of
police
because
state.
of because of Batman and his vigilante thugs. Okay.
Jesus. Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So this becomes embarrassing to the federal government. And so Reagan orders Superman to go bring Batman in.
Wow.
And there is an exchange between Superman and the president in which Superman says he's not going to come peacefully. And Reagan essentially says, well, if you have to kill him,
So be it. If he dies,
you
he
know, if he
dies.
dies, he dies. Yeah, very, very, very Draco going on there. Or Drago, I should say.
Drago. Drago.
Drago,
Yeah.
Drago. So, um, Batman winds up meeting up with Oliver Queen.
Oliver Queen is, hang on, Green Lantern.
No,
Oh, fuck.
Green. You're
Green
close. You're
Arrow.
halfway
I'm
there.
sorry.
Green
I
Arrow.
had it in my head as Green Arrow. Because, okay,
Okay.
here's why. Uh, on my clock at work, back when we went places,
Yeah.
we
I'm
have
sorry.
two different schedules. We have a Thursday schedule and we have a all the other days schedule.
Okay.
And so the Thursday schedule is like 47 minutes, and the every other day schedule is 55 minutes. And it's just different enough that it will fuck up your whole plan if you don't take that into account. And if you're looking up at the clock, you're thinking all the days that aren't Thursday. So on Thursday, you're just dicked. So what I did was I cut out yellow and green arrows to point them at the minutes hand as to when that period would end. So there's a
Okay.
yellow 1, a yellow 2, a yellow 3, a yellow 4, a yellow 5, yellow 6. There's a green 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And there's one that says lunch for both of them, like when each period ends. So I can look at
Okay.
a glance,
Okay.
and it's really easy. And kids will
Okay.
ask, they're like, oh, what time's this class end? And I look up, I'm like, oh, we're on the Oliver Queen schedule.
Nicely done.
Yeah, and
I like
there's
that.
some kids who get it and appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
And those kids are your favorites, even though you don't have favorites.
Yeah, well, I'm their
Yeah.
favorite is really what
Oh
it
yeah.
is.
Well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's
I
the most
I'm a
important
lot
thing.
more discriminating
Okay.
in
Yeah.
terms of
That
who my
works.
favorites are. But
Okay. That
yes.
works.
Yes.
That works. So
So he hooks up with
Bruce
Oliver
Bruce
Queen.
Wayne Bruce Wayne meets up with Oliver Queen,
Mhm.
and Oliver Queen tells him, you and Superman are going to have it's going to have to come down to it. Now at this point we notice it becomes clear that Oliver Queen is missing a hand. Oliver Queen is dressed like somebody who's been on the lam.
Okay.
And we find out kind of in subtext, it's not quite completely made blatant, but it gets close that Oliver Queen has already been targeted by this government, and Superman was who was sent to get him.
Oh, damn.
Okay.
Okay.
And Superman, calls the old man out, shows up in Gotham and says, Batman, you're a renegade, et cetera, et cetera. It's time, you gotta come in out of the cold. And so Wayne arranges their showdown to happen in Crime Alley, where
Which
he
is where
first
his
became Batman,
yeah, I
where
was
his
gonna say
parents died.
yeah, yeah.
And he goes into the fight relying in part on the fact that Superman has been weakened after the nuke. Okay, so he
Okay.
knows he knows he knows that Batman's not, or Superman rather, he knows that Superman is not anywhere near 100%. That he's still recovering from this near death kind of experience.
That's
And
kind of like
so,
your favorite samurai guy, the guy that beat someone with an oar because he like
yep,
waited until
yep,
the sun was coming up and shit.
yes,
All
uh
right.
huh,
Cool.
yeah, Miyamoto Musashi.
Yeah.
So Soups, of course, being the Boy Scout, tries to tell him, look, you got to come in.
Sure.
You know, the literally the army is right behind me. And Batman basically repeatedly throws him the finger, and he shows up to the fight in a gigantic exosuit, in a in the Wayne Tech version of an Iron Man suit, basically.
Yeah. This
Uh,
is the we see an echo of this in the Batman versus Superman movie.
oh yeah,
Literally, they're
oh
fighting.
yeah,
Literally, he's wearing the armor.
literally he's wearing, yeah.
Yeah.
And so Superman manages to break the exosuit, but Batman or Superman manages to break the exosuit. But Batman has had Oliver Queen sitting in a third-story window
Mm-hmm.
with his bow and a kryptonite-tipped arrow,
Naturally.
waiting for the proper, and has been leading Superman to the right spot for uh, uh, Queen to shoot him.
Mm-hmm.
And there is this long moment in the story
Mm-hmm.
where Batman basically stands over Superman and has a long "This is why you suck" speech. And part of it is him saying, I could have formulated that arrow to kill you stone fucking dead, but I didn't. And he basically says, I'm choosing not to kill you because that's not what I do. This is a warning. You stay away and you get out of my way. And in the middle of all that, he has a heart attack.
He being Batman.
Batman has a heart attack, keels over, and is apparently dead.
Okay.
Alfred
Mm-hmm.
blows up the Batcave and Wayne Manor before dying of, and then dies of a stroke.
Okay. So hang on. Doesn't
Okay.
that pretty much give away who Batman is?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. He exposes Batman as being Bruce Wayne,
Mm-hmm.
and the Wayne fortune has somehow completely disappeared.
Ah.
And after Bruce Wayne's Batman's funeral, we as the readers find out that his death was staged using his own, chemistry genius
Sure.
that can suspend his vital signs. Clark Kent is at the funeral, and we see him wink at Robin after he hears Bruce Wayne's heartbeat start up again.
Ah.
And then at an indeterminate amount of time later, Bruce Wayne leads Robin, Oliver Queen, and the rest of his followers,
Mm-hmm.
so that vigilante army of his, into the caverns below the Batcave, and the idea is he's now going to be continuing his war on crime.
Okay.
So here's the thing. Every storyline, every issue anybody has with Batman
Mm-hmm.
since this story
Mm-hmm.
is rooted in all of the stuff that gets introduced in this story. Because
It,
nearly everything that gets written after
yeah.
86 is some kind of response somehow to this story.
Yeah, I'm seeing like very thematically like there's certain things that were kind of itching under the surface and now we've just opened the whole wound. Like
Oh yeah. Yeah.
the stark difference between Batman and Superman philosophically plays out writ large now. Like there's no going back. They are clearly frenemies at best.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's not like, well, you and I are both heroes who wear capes, so we're friends now. And it's like, no, that's never going to be again.
Yeah.
So,
And it's interesting that one of the things that Miller has said in interviews was part of his inspiration for writing the whole series was all of the stories in the comics up to that point where Batman and Superman had been shown as being, best buddies.
right.
And he was like, that always rubbed me so much the wrong way. Because, like, look at who these guys are.
Sure.
Like, look at the way these guys operate. Look at the differences in their philosophy. No. Now, anybody who has read Miller's other Batman work, most especially All-Star Batman and Robin, known as Asbar, to
What?
two people like me who are critics of it. In the 2000s, there was a series. There is still on, as far as I know, ongoing a series All-Star Batman and Robin.
Oh,
Asbar.
okay. Aspar. Yeah.
And it's Miller doing the writing and somebody else doing the artwork, other people doing the artwork. And Miller, since the 80s, I mean, Miller started out being, kind of the comic book answer to Stephen Milius, or not Milius. Who am I thinking of? Oh, crap. Conan the Barbarian.
Oh, okay.
Conan the
Howard?
Anyway. No, the movie.
John Milius.
Yeah, John Milius. Thank you.
Okay.
He's kind of the director with the Nietzsche fixation.
Yeah, it's John Milius.
Okay, John Milius.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, because you said Stephen Milius, I'm like, I know John Milius, but
yeah. No, it's
okay.
John. I'm thinking of John Milius.
Gotcha.
Miller kind of started out in the 80s being comics answer to John Milius.
Okay.
I remember what I added to the script was a lot of guns. That's
right.
kind of Miller's ethos too. Toxic masculinity. I just like dumped the toxic masculinity in there. And he started out like that and then got worse.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a recurring theme in All-Star Batman and Robin of like every other hero in the DC canon being like incompetent or somehow cartoonish.
Right. Like Batman is superlative because they're all dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Batman is an asshole about it.
Right.
Like there's a whole series of bits in Asbar where Batman knows he's going to have to deal with Hal Jordan one way or another, and he always shows up in a yellow costume, like
sure.
like with having like, and you can see like Miller makes a point in the writing of somebody noticing that the paint on everything in the room is still wet, that he just had it all painted yellow before Hal Jordan is going to show up, because that's his weakness, and how stupid is that weakness? Like, that's the kind of writing that Miller does about all of the other heroes in DC. Like, it's really clear he just doesn't like them. Hal Jordan, like, for some reason, Hal Jordan in particular gets the short end of the stick. Oliver Queen a little bit less, but that's mostly because he's enough like Batman that, whatever.
He'll pass.
And and Superman is just a tool. Like he's a patsy, he's a tool, and that's that's all about with his outlook on things. And
Mm-hmm.
so so in The Dark Knight Returns, that's the role that Superman winds up playing, because Miller has this idea that anybody with that kind of optimism and that kind of genuine moral goodness has to
Mm-hmm.
be kind of a simpleton.
Well, in those
It has to
times,
be
that
naive.
that analysis is not too far from the mark. At that
True,
time, in
true.
the 80s, idealists were few and far between. The last good one got attacked by a rabbit and then didn't get reelected. Like, so.
Yeah. Um, it's interesting you point that out. The very last of the Merovingian kings,
Uh huh.
before the Carolingians, there's actually a French children's song about the last of the Merovingian kings, that talks about him being afraid of a rabbit.
Yeah.
There was I mean, Carolingian propaganda, of course, but
Sure.
like,
Still.
yeah, yeah, the parallel is interesting. It's just that occurred to me.
Sure.
But yeah, so Miller made all of this stuff blatant because Miller has never been subtle. Like, read 300, for God's sake. Like, you'll see immediately subtle is not his bag.
Right. Right.
Historical accuracy, context,
Well, he's writing
nuance.
comic books. I mean, you know,
Dude, come
you
on.
get a bit of a pass for being overwrought and ahistorical.
Yeah,
You do.
but yeah.
And at the same
Okay.
time, I would point out that, well, I would point it out if I could remember his name. Shit, what's his name? Not Miller, the other guy I always confuse him with. Alan Moore.
Oh yeah.
Alan Moore pointed out, he's like, look, comics are absolutely a vulgar medium. Like, it's for people who are poor to be able to read. So,
Yes.
yeah, there's
And there's some other stuff that Alan Moore
yeah,
has said lately that we've already talked about,
yeah,
and
yeah.
my opinion of Alan Moore has not been improved by the stuff that's come out of his mouth. But anyway,
But anyway,
tower,
yeah. So
towering
Miller,
artistic genius
yeah,
and kind of a crank.
yeah, yeah.
And Miller, I'm gonna stop shy of calling Miller an artistic genius, but definitely a gifted artist,
Mm-hmm.
and a towering crank. And so yeah, so the thing is, this modern conception that we have of Batman as being somebody who goes down and beats up on poor people and the mentally ill,
Mm-hmm.
and who is just on the edge of unhinged.
Right.
That's all Miller. Like the idea that Batman is just this rage beast
Mm-hmm.
that is constantly on the edge of just going berserk and losing it.
Mm-hmm.
That is 100% Miller. We don't see that in his character
Right.
until The Dark Knight.
And in many ways, like you said, that was absolutely a repudiation of camp Batman from the 1960s.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It was Frank Miller going, I'll take your campy kiddie show and tell you where to shove it, because
Right.
this is Batman's manly.
Right.
Manly means he doesn't have any emotions other than anger. You
Right.
know,
Yeah.
he doesn't feel nothing. He doesn't have a
Right.
sense of humor. He never
Right.
laughs. That's weak gay stuff, man. No,
Yeah.
that'd make him like a Persian rather than a
Nice.
Spartan.
Yeah.
Anyway, says the history teacher, huh? But so yeah. I know that we're running way up against past our time. So I think
Well, good. We got another
this is
7 minutes before I'm going to start signaling to you.
okay. All
So, yeah.
right. But and so Miller followed up The Dark Knight
Mm-hmm.
with Batman Year One.
Okay.
And Batman Year One was a Not really a retcon, but it was delving into, okay, no, seriously, what did the first year of Batman's career as a crime fighter in Gotham look like?
Oh, okay.
And the thing is, it's really weird to juxtapose Miller's work as the writer and artist in Dark Knight
Mm-hmm.
with his work as only the writer, because again, timelines are a thing, and
Right.
on year one, and in year one, it is much less. There's not the same level of overt crypto fascist kind of messaging,
Mm-hmm.
strongman, maintaining order by force over the underclass. There's not that same thing going on. It really is, in many ways, a return to his roots as a fighter against, the corrupt elements within the upper class and law enforcement within Gotham.
Mm-hmm.
And there are some moments of some really stellar dialogue. There's a really great moment where Batman shows up. He somehow blows all the lights out at a dinner party
Mm-hmm.
where one of the mob bosses is hosting a whole bunch of glitterati from the upper class of Gotham society. And of course, everybody knows he's a mobster,
Right.
and
Right.
but everybody's rich, nobody cares.
Sure.
And the lights go out, and the window bangs open, and the next thing everybody sees is this cowled figure who has somehow landed in the middle of the dinner table that
Mm-hmm.
everybody is sitting around. And he has this great speech about, you've been feasting while others have gone hungry, and basically calls them out for all their corruption, and basically says your time of reckoning is at hand, and then disappears like a ninja. And it's this remarkably populist, anti corrupt upper class,
Sure.
kind of
Yeah.
talk. It should be noted this is also the same series in which Gordon at the same time we also follow Gordon's first year in the Gotham Police Department as a detective,
Mm.
where the then commissioner, tells Gordon's partner to essentially beat him nearly to death as a warning because Gordon is too upright, and the rest of the force is corrupt, and so he's a threat.
Right.
And Gordon has the great internal line at one point. Been a long time since I had to beat the crap out of a Green Beret. And somehow, and like we never get that explained. Like, we don't find out what his background is, but he winds up, no kidding, beating the absolute daylights out of this guy who we think at first is gonna wreck him.
Right.
He cheats, of course. He somehow gets a hold of a baseball bat,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
he
Still.
winds up, yeah, and he winds up sending a signal back to his boss by beating up the guy that was sent to beat him up and leaving him handcuffed, naked in the snow.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so again, the hypermasculinity hasn't gone anywhere. And the Charles Bronson fan clubbing kind of stuff is still in full effect.
Sure.
But the story, but the themes of the story and the scale of the story is way tighter. And I really think in some ways, people are going to call me a heretic for this, but I think in some ways it's a much better story, just narratively,
Mm-hmm.
because the stakes are lower. They're just as intense because
Right.
we're looking at Gordon's wife, and Gordon's pregnant wife is at one point threatened, and we're watching, Bruce has been away from Gotham for the last 15 years, or something like it, studying martial arts and learning to be the world's best detective.
Mm-hmm.
And now he shows up, and like on his first night he like just messes everything up. Like he botches a landing trying to jump between buildings, and he's very clearly still learning the ropes of what it is that he's going to become.
Mm-hmm.
And So it's a really remarkable story, and it reasserts a lot of things out of the canon. And so there was this deconstruction that Miller did with The Dark Knight, and then he kind of reasserted a lot of stuff, or reconstructed a lot of things with Year One. And again, we see the kind of the nascent beginnings of some of the colorful cartoonish villains, but the real bad guys at the beginning of Year One are, again, mobsters and corrupt cops.
Mm.
And so, in a way, Year One is itself a response to his earlier work,
Right.
literally months before, on The Dark Knight. And so, but we do still see in this point, we do still see the theme of Batman dealing with common street criminals
Mm-hmm.
a lot, which is, rich guy beating up on the poor underclass. And we see the very beginnings of the reintroduction of a Joker, as a character.
Sure.
And I think kind of the last thing I want to point out about The Dark Knight, because I know it's going to come up when we talk about the Nolan films,
Mm-hmm.
there has been this tendency in the Batman mythos, certainly in the 2000s, to turn the Joker into this protean, tied mystically somehow to Batman. They're these two polar opposite kind of figures always circling each other, kind of thing in the mythos,
Mm-hmm.
which wasn't there at the beginning of the Joker. Originally, the Joker was, a psychotic murderer,
Right.
and a smart enough villain to be a threat to Batman, but that was kind of it. And the role of the Joker has changed into this kind of, again,
He is the nemesis.
yeah,
Yeah.
and this the not merely nemesis, but antithesis.
Yes.
And I think part of that is owed to the Joker being in a catatonic state and suddenly waking up when Batman comes back.
Mm-hmm.
Because that is the first time that we see
That connection.
that weird level of
Yeah.
like,
It's like there's this karmic dance between the two of them all of a sudden.
yeah. Oh man, karmic is a great way of describing it. Or this weird psychic quantum entanglement between them. And that's kind of the first time we see that happen in the mythos. And so those are elements of the modern character
Mm-hmm.
that I think, we need to be, anytime we see that come up, it's good to remember, oh hey, we're looking at Miller, for a variety of reasons. And next I want to talk about the Killing Joke.
Yeah.
And Alan Moore.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting, he got mentioned a moment ago.
Yeah.
But I think that's going to take more time than we have left in this particular episode. So what is your biggest takeaway at this point?
I'm starting to see a lot of the elements. It's similar to, okay, so I love Marvel movies. I don't really, love DC movies. And in Marvel movies, what I've really enjoyed was the fan service that they've done, where it'll be a throwaway line, but they'll put something in there that I'm like, oh, that's from the comics, or oh, that's from this storyline, or whatever. Like the whole Infinity War and Endgame was exactly that. And same goes for Star Wars movies. Now that Disney has bought it and rendered all of the books to be not canon, now they're taking the best parts of those books and incorporating them into the movies and into the series that they make. And I love when they do that, because it is the things that I love getting shown on screen. And so it's kind of cool to see that that there are those same things happening through the Batman movie franchises. I really like that.
In a big way. Yeah.
And I do think it's interesting that, in 1966, you still had people supporting the Vietnam War,
Vietnam. Yeah.
at overwhelming numbers. And then by 68, you start to see that slipping away. And I forget what year it actually tips. But by 1986, there is such a cynicism that grabs a hold of our culture that there is such a distrust of all of us as well as the government that that Superman is now a tool of a system that is inexorably broken, and that Batman is the one thing standing in the way of total chaos of multi-ethnic gangs. If they were just white gangs, then at least they'd be respectable and rich, and then he could just fight them. But instead, they're multi-ethnic, so they're a problem. What do you call it? Just that you've got this 1986, the beginning of the desire to isolate to resegregate because of the problems that have been caused by never fully desegregating. Starting to show up in the culture, and that's being reflected in the darker, grittier, gravelly voiced, more Batman, in the Miller thing. So I just, again, it's product of the times. And I wonder how much he was purposely doing and how much it was just, sticking to our thesis of authorial intent doesn't mean dick.
Miller Miller is one of those authors that it's really tough to tell, because like he will say stuff like in interviews that makes you think really hard that, okay, this clearly, and I'm not talking about like, oh yeah, no, I totally meant to do that, but like he'll make remarks that make it seem like, okay, this sounds like a guy who did that on purpose. But then he'll turn around and say something else completely like asinine, and you're like, I don't know if this guy's smart enough to do that.
Right.
And I know, and the thing is, I know that there are going to be people who are going to be like, man, you're being mean. And I don't mean to say that Miller isn't a smart guy. I mean that, like, he lets his mouth run, and he's an unreconstructed boomer in so many ways that it becomes hard for me to believe that he was doing it intentionally.
Well, and in 86, being a boomer was not a bad thing. Being a boomer was being ascendant.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Like
true.
Boomers haven't been, I mean, they've always been shitty, but like society has like demanded more from them as far as the not being shitty part only recently.
Yeah, no, it's true. Yeah. So yeah. So anyway, that's yeah.
Well, cool. So where can people find you on the social medias?
I can be found on on Twitter. I'm at Blaylock. On the TikTok, I'm also at Blaylock. And on Instagram, I'm at Mr. Blaylock. And of course, if anybody wants to point out how I've screwed up any part of the Batman timeline, if you want to come at me about my opinions of the Ra's al Ghul stories, or you're a Miller fanboy who wants to tell me something, then you can find me at any of those addresses. You can find us at Geek History Time. And where can they find you?
You can find me at Harmony on the Twinstagram. That's pretty much it. You can find me every Tuesday night on twitch.tv/Capital Puns. That's still going strong, so come check that out, support us. Please tell your friends about this podcast, rate, subscribe, review, that kind of thing. We would love to get our numbers up so that we could make some money off of this.
Yeah, it'd be nice.
That would be fun. Although we keep doing this for the love of it anyway. So, but don't let that stop you from giving us money.
Yeah, please.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, for a Geek History of Time, I'm Damian Harmony.
And I am Darkness. I am the Night. I'm Ed Blaylock. And keep rolling 20s.